Here's just a short video to help you maybe understand the project a little better and to understand some of my expectations for the project. So let me go through here. And here is our data, or not our data, here's our questionnaire. As I said earlier, I would focus on questions somewhere maybe between 11 and 14. So what you would need to look at first is how the data set is put together. And note that the data set is numbering each of these. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, E is 5, etc. Same with all these other problems. So your data sets are developed using that numbering system. Me personally, when I look at this, I see a pretty good project here between questions 11 and 14, for example. So if I'm looking at question 11, I'm looking at the age a person first tried a cigarette, and number 14 is in the last 30 days, how many cigarettes did you smoke? So maybe we can find, is there a correlation between age and number of cigarettes per day, or different situations like that. So those could be two that you would focus on. So let me bring up our StatCrunch here, and we're going to go to Excel first, and this is how the Excel file is set up. Okay, so what I would recommend doing first is figuring out which questions you're going to use, and from there you can put the data set into StatCrunch, which is pretty easy to do. You just click on what you want. I want question, let's say I'm doing question 11 and 12 like I told you. So you click on those two. You're going to go right click, copy. Okay, then you're going to go over here and open up your StatCrunch. You're going to select type or paste data into a blank document or blank data table. We'll give it a second to load here. And then you're going to enter, let me get rid of my thing there. You're going to go to data, load data, and from paste, then you can just right click, or actually control V into that box. I had to control V, you may have to use some other, whatever other shortcut you need to do, but basically paste it in there and click on load data. Remember, it's a large data set. Mine actually worked rather quickly. Yours may or may not work as quickly, but you're going to load up your data set just like that. Now we can do some of our calculations on that. So let me first of all bring up our questionnaire again. So I had a few questions on how to incorporate stuff from chapters 8 and 9 into the project. And basically chapters 8 and 9 are your introduction. So to start up the project, you will make up a story. You determine how this data was collected. Was it a random sample? Was it a phone survey? Did you call all the students? Did you pass this out in a study hall? That type of thing. What was your population? What was your sample? For example, if I would conduct this on DW's campus, which obviously this is not a college survey, but if that would be the case, maybe I'm trying to deduct what the actual campus does. So my population would be the entire campus, whereas my sample would be however many people I actually interviewed. So you determine your population and sample, you determine your sampling techniques, and that's how you would incorporate that information from your rubric. So let's go back to StatCrunch here, and I highlighted one, and there we go, I'll unhighlight it. So we've got questions 11 and 12. Now with each of these sets of data, you will follow the rest of the rubric. So for example, you will need to create a histogram of each of those. You will have to run summary stats, such as mean and standard deviation or five number summary, and you will need to thoroughly describe those. Remember, it is a report, so you need to use complete sentences, organize it, make it look decent. So let's go ahead and actually figure out the StatCrunch end of it. So let's say we're looking at question 11, first of all. So we can just go to graph, histogram, and let's just do, I'm just going to do one, I'm not going to do the whole thing for you. You would need one of each, but then you would click on compute. So now I have this little diagram here, this little histogram. Under the histogram then, you would proceed to describe. First of all, on first observation, it definitely looks like it's right skewed. We have a very tall peak and a lot of smaller ones. But the interesting thing to note is those that are labeled 1 are those who have never smoked before. So we can almost eliminate this column and just look at everything to the right, which would be at what age did those who smoke actually begin smoking. Then we have a fairly normal curve. And you can look at this and you can actually figure out this middle peak bar here. What does that represent? what is the age that students tend to start smoking at, that type of thing. So those are the pieces of information you need to pick out of your graph. So see what you can find. Use your data to actually figure out what information you can glean from the data. So good luck on your project and keep